Hi there, I'm Lily and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is my podcast where I chat about my knitting, designing, all that kind of thing. I'm Lily Kate Makes over on Instagram and yeah, just having a little chit chat about my knitting and everything. So I'm in a different location to usual today. Normally film upstairs, but since we have the Christmas tree, it's all nice down here. I thought I'd film down here for a change, and the light is kind of disappearing and I cannot tell if I'm staying in focus, so yeah, so hopefully I will stay in focus, but we'll see. So I have quite a few things to share today. Well, I say quite a few, not too many. My knitting has been not the most productive lately, neither has my video making, because I had a really horrible cold. It definitely wasn't COVID. I did all the PCR tests, I have my vaccinations, and I have already had COVID, and it definitely wasn't that. But to be honest, it was just a horrible cold. I was coughing, sore throat, and I just sounded, I don't think I sound 100% now, but this is considerably better than I was. I was like squeaking for a while, so yeah, I'm finally back to sounding hopefully presentable enough to actually speak. And you would think that being ill with a cold and not going out anywhere would mean that I would have had loads of knitting done, and actually I've not had a crazy amount because I have just kept frogging so many times. So everything that I have to show you is on at least its third attempt, apart from actually one project, so I'll show you that first. So the one project that actually was smooth sailing and didn't require any frogging is this hat here. So this is from my Better Now Beanie Pattern from last year. I think I mentioned in my last episode that I was going to be starting this. Can't remember. Oh, and everything that I'm wearing and that I have knit is pink. And I've got a pink hair clip, so I'll just go with the theme. Yeah, so this was an actually successful project. It was supposed to be my portable project. Pretty much I did knit most of it out and about, just to have something that I could have in my bag that's small and quick and easy. I used my basic Better Now Beanie Pattern from last year. I'm not going to put it on because I've got my hair up and it'll just mess everything up. Which I originally used DK weight yarn, and then this time I used a strand of 4-ply, so I used the high twist merino sock from the Discreet Unicorn, which I originally used for my brightest tee. I feel like I did mention this last time. Honestly, I can't remember. I feel like my head's just a sieve at the minute. Yeah, so I used the same yarn for my brightest tee, and then the yarn that I used, the mohair I held together with it. I used the same mohair that I'd used for my pink one cardigan. So I've used both of the yarns separately in the past in garments, and this time combined them to use together. So I think if I hold it up close, hopefully it will focus. See, it's a really nice subtle, like a bit more than a semi-solid but not a full-on variegated. And then at the brim, which it looks very odd before you block it, it's got 2 hidden layers of rib, so it's a super snug fitting hat, but with the minimal kind of look, so you can't see any rib, but it's there. And then the picots are done. In the last sample I used DK weight yarn for the whole thing, like 2 different colours. This time I actually used a 4-ply cotton, some Rowan cotton, I can't remember exactly which one. It's like years old from the stash. I thought I'll just try it with the 4-ply, and I think it actually worked really well. That the picot is kind of crisper, crisper, whatever you want to call it. It's like more defined picot for being on a finer gauge. So I think that was a good call. And it did come up. It does feel a little bit snugger than the original. I mean, in theory, DK plus 2 strands of mohair, 4-ply plus 2 strands of mohair should equal DK, so it should be about the same. It's a bit snugger, but it fits me perfectly fine, so I'm not too bothered. And yeah, it did its job. It was a portable project that I took with me to a couple of yarny events on the train, out and about a few places, so it did its job and I like it. And I think this is the only neon that I would wear. I would not wear neon yellow or neon green or anything else like that. I feel like it would just look terrible on me, but neon pink I can go with that. So I really like how it looks with a whole neutral outfit and then just bright hat. I also have I say I have, it's actually my mum's that I steal, but a bright pink scarf, non-hand knit, just like a woven fluffy fabric scarf that I think looks really nice to have the whole lot bright pink. So that's one thing that I've been working on that was successful. So on to another couple of projects that have been slightly less successful. Well, not less successful as in I got there in the end, but I think pretty much every single garment I've made this year, in fact probably every single garment I've made for a long time, has required at least one lot of frogging, but the last couple have required more, like 3 or 4 lots. So I think, cannot tell if I'm staying in focus. So I think at the end of my last episode I mentioned that my next planned cast on was in this super chunky The Wool from We Are Knitters. So that is what I've been working on, which in theory should be super quick because it is on 12mm needles. As you can see, there's quite a lot of fabric in it. This is, I think it's going to use all of the 9 balls that I have, and each of them is 200 grams, so we're talking like a nearly 2 kilo garment here. But my thinking was that if it's going to be so heavy, you know, it just makes more sense for something to be outerwear, for it to be a coat. It is yet nameless. I'm not going to try putting it on properly over these sleeves. I'll just kind of wear it as a cape for now. But yes, it is so warm. So actually I'm wearing We Are Knitters the Petite Wool in shade Yarnicorn is the one that I'm wearing, my hopelessly devoted cardigan. And then this is We Are Knitters The Wool, which is the super chunky. So it's like chunky and super chunky of the same yarn here. So we got some little details. Got some twisty stitch business going on the back. We got some twisty sleeves, pockets, and now I'm at the point of, I've done both sleeves. The sleeves had to be ripped once, the yoke had to be ripped once, the body had to be ripped once. It's just kind of different, it's different proportions than I'm used to working with because it's so oversized. Obviously I wanted it to be an outerwear kind of item, and I was using the measurements from a teddy coat that I own, so I was like very oversized. It's just things like the placement of pockets. Once you add more fabric to something that's this heavy, the whole thing kind of grows. So it's like, oh, when I first put the pockets on, and then it turned out that they were too low and they just looked stupid, so I had to take them with a big chunk back and do that again. And the sleeves ended up a bit too long, so I'm trying to, let's just pop one sleeve on there. It's big enough to fit my giant sleeves inside. Yeah, like the first time the sleeves were too long because your swatch is never going to be the same as the actual item with something like this because you've got to consider the weight of it. So yeah, as it got bigger it got heavier and it stretched out more. And I'm accounting for the fact that when I block it, which I'm hesitant to do to be honest, obviously I'll have to do at some point because it'll have to be washed. Yeah, I'm a bit scared of the fact that it's going to weigh about, I don't even know how much, it's going to weigh easily several kilos when it's wet, and it's going to take forever to dry. So, and it would very easily, because it'll be so heavy, like currently is this, oh, I can't really show you, currently it's sort of hip length at the front, and I'm just going to basically make it as long as I have enough yarn to go. That makes no sense. I'm going to knit until I run out of yarn on the body anyway, but if I know that with it being garter stitch and the card was full there and I don't know where I was up to, but anyway, I know that with it being so heavy and garter stitch, the garter stitch has so much vertical stretch that if I let it, I would probably get a hip length coat that would grow to being knee length if I allow it to during blocking. So I'm going to have to be careful. I might sort of just spray it or steam it, or I mean I could just not bother, but then it feels like that would be very unpredictable. I don't want to put out a pattern where I haven't done that because when you block it, it could grow so much. So we'll just have to hope that what doesn't happen is that I block it and it grows a ridiculous amount and everything's in the wrong place and I have to re-knit it. So let's hope that doesn't happen. Yeah, I'm getting absolutely boiling sitting here in it, but I think it'll be a nice kind of outerwear. So the thinking was that it'll be rolled back here, could be worn just sort of open with these, could be If you wanted to add buttons, you could make it double-breasted, or you could go for try and hold it more like a wrap, like that. So kind of options. Obviously if you wanted to add buttons, you'd have to have buttonholes, but I'm sure people can figure that out. And oh gosh. Literally just as I said that, I've just put the garment down and knocked over a glass of water with it, and it's just spilt all over it. So that's why it's going to have to get wet, because it's already now drenched. Well done me. Although the water just seemed to have just kind of sat on the top, so that bodes well, and it's gone on the floor. Excellent job, Lily. We shall move on. Yeah, Hopelessly Devoted Cardigan is what I'm wearing now. This pattern is already out. My test knitters did a wonderful job of showing it off in loads of different ways. So kind of going for the bomber jacket look, some have put stripes there, contrast button bands and all sorts of things like that. So it's been fun to have that one out. Pattern is available via my blog, Ravelry and Etsy as always. So patterns that are on my blog, I do an individual blog post for each, and then within that blog post I embed a PayHip product of the pattern, so it can be downloaded from that blog post. And I do link from my Instagram to the PayHip page directly as well, so you don't have to see all the blog post, but you just see like the name, and that's pretty much it. It doesn't have any of the information that somewhere like Ravelry or Etsy would have, just because it's not really set up the same. So yeah, and speaking of patterns, I'm currently running an advent calendar kind of sale thing over on Instagram. So I'm offering a different pattern at 20% off every day throughout December. So instead of running them from like midnight to midnight, that seems really pointless because I'm never going to post on Instagram at midnight. I'm running them 6 PM till 6 PM. So that seems to be a more sensible time zone wise. Yeah, so that's been running. I've chosen a different pattern each day, and it's been quite a fun challenge actually to style them quite differently. So some of my summer patterns I've been styling in a more wintry or party kind of appropriate way, and it's been a fun challenge. It's kind of pushed me to like pick out a different one every day, or you know, do them as a batch, but whatever. Pick out different items and style them differently and have it photographed rather than just sort of sharing a different thing. Because with Instagram it's a funny one to like feel like you have to really keep on top of, and sometimes it can not feel like a chore because it's a way of, you know, it's my way of actually reaching out to people and meeting other knitters. You know, how many people I've met via Instagram that I would have never come across otherwise, and that would have been a real shame. But sometimes it can be like, oh gosh, I've got to post something today, best figure out what I can do. So this is kind of giving me a push to be a bit more organised with it. And yeah, I've been really enjoying it so far. So yeah, thank you to everyone who has bought a pattern so far. What day are we on? The 9th, so quite a few more to go yet. I'm doing some sweaters, some cardigans, some sleeveless items, some tops, a bit of everything. Kind of choosing which of my patterns, because I have way more than 24 patterns, so I'm picking and choosing which ones I want to have on there. And yeah, so keep an eye out over on Instagram. I'm not posting like on Ravelry or anywhere else sort of which pattern of the day it is. It's just via Instagram, because otherwise it would just get a bit ridiculous trying to change over everything every day. So that's where you've got to follow me if you want to find out which pattern is discounted. What else have I had recently? Oh yeah, that was it, my newsletter. I feel like I'm just trying to set up all these different things, but it's like, you know, when platforms go down or different people use different things, it's nice to have like different groups of people in different places. So at the minute I have like, you know, Instagram and then a newsletter, which if you sign up for, you will get a copy of the reheat cowl pattern for free. That is included in there. And I showed that in my last episode, so I might just pop some photos in here. Yeah, you get a free copy of that, and there's going to be exclusive discounts in the newsletter, and patterns will be shared. New designs are going to be shared in the newsletter before anywhere else. So I'm just kind of trying to figure it out. It's not going to be like every week I send out an email on a Friday morning or anything like that. I don't think I've got it in me to have that sort of schedule. And as you know, things take longer than you plan. So we'll be a bit silly, but yeah, it's just a nice, relaxed, informal newsletter. And I now also have a Facebook group because I'm just trying to put myself everywhere. But I thought the Facebook group would be nice to have as more of a chatty kind of environment. So it's not just me running it, you know, if people want to come in and post whatever they like, within reason. Because I always find that the Slack chats that we have for the test knits, they're just really fun and chatty and supportive, and it's nice for people to share their progress and not necessarily a kind of, here's the photo that I'm uploading with a nice caption and everything, in the way that you maybe would on Instagram or something. It's just a bit more informal, and people asking questions and asking each other and helping each other and comparing notes and comparing sizes and all of this sort of stuff. So it's always really nice to have those, but obviously that's normally limited to the 20 odd people that I have in a test knit group. So it would be nice to have it a bit more open. So that's the reason for the Facebook group, so people can go and post whatever questions they have or progress updates or anything like that. So I kind of wanted it to be a general questions and help about knitting all my patterns, or, you know, anything like that. But I'm not going to be obviously giving away everything that's in the pattern. So yeah, it's not particularly the place for like specific pattern queries, because that is, you know, people email me about that. If you're like, I don't understand row 4, please can you explain? Then that's an email one. But if it's kind of, I'm not sure which size I should do on this, or has anyone knit this in this yarn and got any advice, or you know, just sort of more general questions, then that's a good place for it. So YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, newsletter, bit of everything. Trying to keep on top of everything, but you know, it's how it goes, isn't it? When you want to connect with people all around the world, it's how you have to be. So, and luckily I come across some wonderful people who I love chatting to, and it's a nice, you know, substitute for in-person knit nights that can't happen often. So anyway, it's getting dark now, so I'm just going to show you my one final project, which I actually shared a photo of at the weekend when it had more done on it than this, and it has since been frogged. So this is when I was at my boyfriend's and I was really ill, and I just had this yarn with me, and I was like, right, I'm going to make this work. I had a sort of image in my head, not a fixed, well, I had done a sketch, but it was more of a mental image of the style that I wanted, but I was trying to figure out the exact stitch pattern, and I was trying some different fancy ribs. I was doing like rick-rack ribbing and various different things that look nice on a swatch. And then as soon as I actually started working them in the round over a larger item, you know, not that large, only a neck, it started biasing or started like having not enough stretch, or just, it's one of those really annoying things that the properties of something in an actual garment sized item are different to the swatch. So it's kind of impossible to, well, not impossible to predict. I mean, I probably should have seen it coming, but yeah, my first few attempts kept twisting and biasing and all sorts. And then my final attempt that I did actually really like, this stitch pattern, I wanted it to be a high neck because I love an elegant high neck. I mean, let me just pop it up. So I really love an elegant high neck, but this is with, I think I ripped back about 8 rounds, something like that. Because it was like up here, which I think looks kind of cool. And I don't mind it being like up round my neck at all, but I thought, I know a lot of people don't like that, and it might just get a bit too much. And my mum said I look like a Cluedo character with no neck, so thought better it be a bit down, a bit lower here, and you actually do see some neck. And obviously when it's got the weight of the whole item on it, it will sort of settle in and pull out a little bit more. So it's still definitely a high neck technically, but not quite as up here, not a Cluedo character level of high neck. So yeah, and it's just got a nice textured stitch pattern going on. As I chatted about at length in my last episode, I'm really into yokes at the moment. They're my thing, so I decided I would do another one in a single colour with texture rather than colour patterns. And now that I've finally got going with it, I'm really enjoying it. So the needles I'm using, I actually did a sponsored post for the other day. I've been using them quite a lot lately, and in my circumference sweater and a couple of other projects with them. The Prim ergonomic, I don't know if it'll even show up there. That's what you do, isn't it? Triangular circular needles, so I've been using those. Is that upside down? Yes, sorry. It's just as the needle size anyway. It's triangular and then this like teardrop point there. So this is currently on 2 circular needles because I had to rip back to the point where it wouldn't quite fit on one. So yeah, it will. Once I get to the point where it can just go on 1 needle, I will be back onto just this one, but I'm using 2 at the moment. And I'm actually really enjoying those needles, and I bought another one. Thought I might have had it down here with me, but I don't. It must be upstairs in the 12mm where the triangular shape is far more obvious, obviously because it's much bigger. And yeah, it's comfortable to knit with, which is helping for that giant behemoth down there, because it's so heavy and I find my hands get a bit achy with the giant needles. It's not something that I would like to knit all the time. It's kind of a one-off project, so yeah, enjoying anything that makes that a little bit more comfortable. And I think that is all I have to share today. It's getting very dark in here. I've now got a soggy cardigan coat on the floor that I need to deal with and a mess upstairs, and I need to probably go and sort myself out. Well, yeah, that is the current state of affairs in my knitting life. Hoping to finish a few more things before Christmas. I mean, I didn't even really think about gift knitting. I was like, I've got so much other knitting to do. A Secret Santa present, which I haven't entirely decided what it's going to be, but I think I might actually crochet something. So if I share that, that'll have to be after Christmas, obviously, because it's Secret Santa. Yeah, that's the plan. Don't think there's anything. Oh, this is one more thing I was going to share actually. Book that I've made a mess around me, as is standard for my life. This is the book that I've been using quite a lot lately that my boyfriend actually got it me for my birthday, so he chose well. A Stitch dictionary that I found. It's really nicely laid out. That I've got lots of Stitch dictionaries, but quite a few of them are a bit older. And even the newer ones, one thing that I find really helpful with this particular one is that let me find a good example. A, it's got some unusual patterns that I've not seen before, and B, there we go, that's a good example page. The swatches are shown. Ooh, this is difficult. Is that going to show it properly? The actual whole swatch is shown, so you can see the effect that a stitch pattern has on the edge of the fabric, both at the sides and at the top and bottom, at the cast on and cast off edge, which I often find that's something that you can use, as a design feature. You can work a design kind of around the way that a stitch affects a piece of fabric, and I find that a lot of Stitch dictionaries they've obviously just sort of zoomed in on the middle of the fabric with it all pinned out, stretched, so that you don't particularly see those edge effects. So I think the fact that these are shown in full is very helpful, and yeah, it's been really good. So that is Vogue Knitting Ultimate Stitch Dictionary. I think it is the most recent. I have not got my glasses on. Yeah, I think, yeah, that's the 2021 edition, so the newest version, and I'm finding it really useful, so just a little recommendation from me there. And now I really am going to go, so hopefully we'll be back soon if I don't end up sounding like a squeaky frog again trying to talk. So thank you very much for watching, and let me know if you too have anything pink on the needles, because it seems to be my thing at the moment. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye!